Hey Ashworms, and welcome back to the Ashworm channel. I am your host, and welcome back to another podcast. Before I get into anything else, I hope that you like, subscribe, get the bell notifications, and click all. So for today's podcast, I will be doing some storytelling off of some stories from the game called Storyteller. Warning, if you ever never played the game at all before, then I would learn more about the game, but or come back to this podcast or whatever. Maybe you can use this to help you out. But yeah, so I'm going to be telling some stories and the different types of stories you can find within the game throughout the podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy. First story is called Curse is Lifted. So the story is about this old lady who loves the prince, but the prince does not love her back. She tries to kiss the prince, but he declines and rejects her. This makes the old lady upset. Afterwards, she then meets up with him in the forest and turns him into a frog. The frog prince guy, he then meets this beautiful girl in the woods who he really likes, and he tells her that he is the prince. It turns out afterwards that the girl also likes the prince, so she is willing to help him. They then go on to this lovely boat ride and have a kiss that then saves the prince and turns him back into his human form. Second one is called The Duchess Gets the Murderer Arrested. Also, this story has an alternative ending that I'll get to later. So the first one is the original story, which was the butler who hates the people that he works for because they're too demanding, and every time he tried to get them a drink, they just keep on requesting another one, and he just is fed up at this point. So then he in this story he gets a gun that they have in the house and he murders the Duke. However, there's a decoy painting in behind that the Duchess so happens to witness the murder of her husband. This then pisses the Duchess off, and she then calls the detective and tells him what happened to her husband. And then the detective runs into the butler, and because the Duchess didn't do it, he then arrests the butler based off what she told him. But then the alternative ending is this: if the butler wasn't home. If the butler wasn't home, then what he would do is you take the butler out of the story, and what happens instead is that the Duchess then just witnesses the butler with a gun, meaning that she knows that he was trying to kill one of them. So then she still tells the detective what happens. But then the butler runs into the Duchess and he murders her. Then the detective runs into the butler and arrests him because of what the Duchess has told him originally. He also knows that at this point that the Duchess or that the Duke is not home, and that if she's dead, then there's only one alternative, and that's the butler. So that's what can happen is you can have other stories with other alternative endings like that story. I've said there could be one other alternative ending like that, or there can be two alternative endings that you can find within the game and throughout. Within this game, afterwards you become what is called the Storyteller. After you complete all the other levels, you go through this whole crown ceremony. Once that is done, you can go back to the stories. Then there's a twist. In some stories, there is a bad ending or just like an evil kind of version of the story. So, one of the stories is called Spouses Rejected Each Other. So, in this story, two guys named Edgar and Bernard get married, but then the devil tells them both that their partner's dead, so Edgar thinks that Bernard is dead, and so does Bernard, thinking that Edgar is dead. Bernard goes on and marries a girl named Lenora, and Edgar then goes on and marries a girl named Isabel. Therefore, they no longer love each other and that their relationship is over. They then meet up with one another and tell the other person that they love somebody else now, which then, because they thought that they were dead, then rejecting one another. The last thing about this whole game is that also once you're done all the other stories, there is a secret stamp collection that you find out about, or you can find out about after the crown ceremony. And so one of them is called Second Chance. And this is back with the frog, the prince, and the old lady. But that's it. And so the old lady and the prince, they actually like one another. But then then the old lady, she eats this sort of potion or some sort of thing from her cauldron that turned her into the old lady, creepy lady thing. And then he meets up with the woman who normally is like this young, white-haired, more beautiful looking lady, but at this time she's I guess they called old hag or old witch. And he is disgusted by her beauty. So then she turns the prince into a frog. And afterwards she eats the potion again and turns her back into the more beautiful, attractive woman. And then she meets the frog prince and he tells her that he is the prince, except he doesn't know that she's the one who turned him into the frog or whatever. But the lady, she knows that, but he doesn't, because he thinks that the witch and her are two different people, but they're not. But she's still willing to help him because she still cares for him. And then they kiss, and the prince turns back into his natural form because she is willing to forgive him, even though he rejected her when she was in her witch form. And those are all the different types of or the stories that you can get within the game so far. I don't know if it will ever be updated, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed sort of these stories, and hopefully I have some more other stories. But anyways, until next time, and again, for spoilers, keep that in mind. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then play the game and then come back, or use this to help you when you get to a certain point. So keep this video saved if necessary, because you'll need it. Anyways, until next time, bye!